Okay. I was having a conversation with a dear, I mean, I can't even, I have no words to describe my love for this person. I was having a conversation with him on the phone. And we've known each other for a while. We've met in university, and he's one of the biggest supporters of everything that I've done since the beginning and everything that I still do until now. Okay, and I'm going to be seeing him soon, and I'm really excited. So we were talking, and he was saying, you know, I've seen your evolution as a person, as a human being, as a soul. I've seen it because when we met, at the period that he met me in university, I really was a 180 degrees different person. Consciousness. I was at a different consciousness altogether. And he says, you know, it's amazing to see your evolution. He tells me, I show people your videos from the fitness channel and I show them your videos from this channel, and I tell them, look, like, that's how different this guy has become. And you could do this yourself. You could go on my fitness channel, which I don't post on anymore. I just don't post on it anymore. And you could go to my earliest videos in that channel, and you watch my videos here, and you see. You're hearing two different people here. You're hearing two different people. Even the way I talked, everything is different. Okay, and so when my friend met me, when we met together in university, he's known even a different guy than the guy in the fitness channel. Even a different guy. The guy he met in the first place was a very go-getter. That was his description, and it's absolutely spot on. And I'll describe to you here in a second. So, he told me, you know, if you met Saeed 5-6 years ago, I think that's around the time we met. 2000, yeah, we probably met 2012, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, actually more, 8 years now, wow. So, he told me, if you've met that Saeed when we met, how would you react to him? What would it be like if you met him right now? If you were somewhere and you met him in a coffee shop, in a library, let's say, how would it go? How would the interaction go? What would you do? What would you say to him? How would it go? And I said, wow, that's pretty good. I'm gonna take it into my meditation tomorrow. Okay? And I did just that. I took it into my meditation. I sat down, did some hatha yoga, stretched, cleaned up the body, got it nice and loose, sat down, focused on my breathing. And right about, you know, I count my breath, right around the 30th breath, I was in a pretty nice, calm, meditative state. That thought came into my head. I said, let's explore that. All the meanwhile, by the way, counting my breath. Okay? So, I went on that trip and I pictured Saeed right now, and I pictured Saeed 8 years ago. And I pictured us in a library, because that's sort of where we met, me and my friend. And I was sort of always hanging around in the library, doing university work, doing business work. I had a business at the time, real estate stuff. And I just kind of pretended that I just walked into that library. I sat down to read the Tao Te Ching, okay? And I happened to see this guy that looks like me, because I still look pretty much the same, but my hair wasn't as long. And, you know, I just kind of like played this scenario in my head that I frequent the same library as that guy. I pictured it, you know, I could see it because I practically lived there in my university years. And I just met this guy. So then this is how it all played itself out. This is how the drama played itself out. First of all, that Saeed 8 years ago was quite a charismatic character. So I was bound to at some point talk to him because he knew everybody in the library. Everybody in the library knew him. He was pretty charismatic. Okay, very charismatic, and he pretty much wore jewelry, all kinds of rings, all kinds of necklaces, dressed really sharp, like if he's going to a wedding or something, all the time, like a mobster, right? With like Scarface, Tony Montana from Scarface. Okay, really dressed really sharp all the time, dress shoes and everything, dress shirts, right? And so he was really like somebody who was charismatic in that particular place. And so eventually I was bound to meet him. I was bound to have a conversation with him. Because mind you, this Saeed of now is still pretty charismatic and still commands quite a bit of energy, just like that Saeed did, except for they did it in such different ways. So eventually they would have just had to meet. At some point they would have had to talk, and they even became friends. Okay? So this is how it played itself out. We somehow get to talking, and I probably would, this Saeed would tell him something about his rings, you know, nice rings, you know, would have given him a compliment about his style, his fashion. Okay, would have told him nice ring or something like that, nice necklace. And Saeed of that time would have liked that. He would have taken that compliment and would have been like, oh, thanks, man. And they inevitably would have became friends. They would have started talking and they would have became friends. Now this Saeed now is obviously significantly wiser. And he's wiser because he knows that he's an idiot. That Saeed didn't know that he was a complete naive dumbass. This Saeed knows that he's a naive idiot dumbass. He knows. Okay, that's why he's wiser. That's the reason. That Saeed didn't know it. But see, this Saeed in his knowledge of his foolishness would have looked at that Saeed and be like, look at this dumbass putting on a show. I mean, look at his show. Isn't that a magnificent show? I mean, look at all the clothes he's wearing. I mean, look at the way he's walking. Look at the way he's commanding energy. You know, look at the charisma he has. Look at the way he was seducing all the girls. You know, talking to every girl and stuff. I'm like, look, that's somebody that's really putting on a show. Okay, really. And so I would see through the show, obviously. That's the first thing, is I would automatically see through the show. But I would also see that there is a pretty interesting fella behind that show. Because to put on a show that big, it means you've got a lot of energy. You've got, the force is strong with you. Okay, it's strong with you. It's just not being directed to a higher channel. Period. There you go. Because clearly the force was strong with this one. Even then, even 7 years ago, 8 years ago. The force was strong with this man. And what this Saeed would have seen is he would have seen somebody with a strong force field. A strong force field. But it's being channeled into very basic, material, worldly things. So at the time, I dressed really sharp, really like a businessman. I had a business. I was a go-getter. I was all about like money, sales. I had a pretty good business at the time, a housing business, real estate. It was a student housing thing. And I had 3 other business partners. And, I sort of saw everything as a business transaction, and same thing with girls. Like I saw it as you just go and you talk to them and you either get the number or you don't, just like a business thing. Very, very third in the lower chakras, very much so. Oh, very much so. Absolutely. Just operated purely in those 3 lower chakras. Root, survival, sex, and power. And so I was primarily in the power, trying to assert my power in all the other ones. So I saw it as, you put on your show, you come off as the man, you go talk to a girl, and you just try your luck. Either you impress her or you don't. You get her number or you don't. It's just like a business transaction. If it doesn't go on, you move on. And I was pretty good at it. Okay, I was pretty good at it because I practiced a lot. I rehearsed a lot. So this Saeed would have looked at that Saeed and be like, in his head would have been like, I wonder how much rehearsal he's doing. You know, how much did he rehearse this role? How much, you know, I would sort of run into my head that what this Saeed would be doing in his apartment or whatever, just to put on this pretty magnificent show. And truly, I tell you, that Saeed did spend a lot of time to put on his act, to put on his show, his funny little personalities, his persona, his gimmick. He really did. But this Saeed, because he's wiser, would have automatically been able to see that that Saeed is just putting on such a gimmick here. You know, and it's just so finite, and so it's not gonna get him anywhere. And at some point he's gonna recognize that this is all not getting him anywhere. That it's all just a show, that he's still seeking so much from the external world. His entire focus and point of awareness is focused on the external, impressing the external, getting something in the external. And he would have recognized that, but he would have also recognized that there is a great force field behind that is able to put on such a show, and he would have tried to get to that place in him. And that's exactly how the scenario played out. So we would start off on a positive note, having a good conversation. I probably would give him a compliment in the beginning about his sense of style or something, and he would have taken it well, and they would have become friends very quickly. And this Saeed now would have probably pretty soon took the conversation from business, which was the business and girls, which was the favorite topics of that Saeed at the time, to philosophy. Now that Saeed was always open-minded, especially to philosophy. Okay? And he would have liked it. He would have liked it very much from this Saeed, that this Saeed would have taken a conversation into philosophy. And eventually this Saeed would have shown that Saeed that, look, all that stuff doesn't matter. Your personality, your clothing, all this, girls, how many girlfriends you have, how much money you make, how much validation from society do you have, all of that is not going to matter. Because very quickly, the conversation would have become quite philosophical, and we would have ended up talking about death, and talking about the end of life and the meaning of life. And that side was always open for these kinds of conversations. And arrogant he was, but once the conversations got to that, he would have sat down and listened. And he would have really contemplated on it. Okay? So that's probably how it would go. They would be good friends, but they wouldn't be best buddies. They wouldn't exactly call each other to go hang out. All it would be that every time they saw each other, they would have had like a 10-minute nice conversation with one another. It would have been that type of relationship. That they would see each other in the library, maybe, once a week. Once a week they'd see each other in the library, and they sit down and have like a 20-25 minute conversation with each other. That's the type of relationship it would have been. Okay, and it would have centered primarily around philosophy, because that Saeed at the time, he had all kinds of conversations with people, and he did have some friends that he would only primarily speak philosophy to, and he had friends that he would primarily speak business to, you see. And so this Saeed would have been one of those philosophy type relationships that he has with people that he sees, say, once a week, acquaintances, let's say. So they would have been great acquaintances. Okay, they would have been great acquaintances. This Saeed would not be at all dismissive of that Saeed. In fact, he would just see the great potential. He would see there's a great force field behind this. I mean, you've got to say, this Saeed, the force is strong with him. I know. The force is pretty strong with him. Okay? And so this Saeed, knowing that it's all about the force and the connection with the force, would have seen that that person's connection with the force is pretty strong. That Saeed's connection with the force is indeed strong. He simply would have seen that it's just being channeled to lower channels, lower vibrations. And that at some point he would come to realize that, and at some point he would start to go higher and higher and higher, which is exactly what started happening gradually. And so that brings me to another point. What would Saeed 8 years from now say and talk and do to this Saeed? I think that Saeed 8 years from now would probably see a great, prosperous student that he could teach. Because I think 8 years from now, you've got, I can only imagine the developments that will occur. So I think 8 years from now, Saeed will see a great student, really a great student that's learning, that's, thirsty for knowledge, for wisdom. Whereas Saeed now, as opposed to Saeed 8 years from now, would not exactly have seen a student, but he would have seen a great potential in someone. He would have seen a great force field around someone, around a specific person, a specific soul, consciousness. And he would have seen that, because I was completely bought into illusion, I was completely bought into society's illusions. I had posters of cars, I had posters of like some house and some like mansion, and like I had a poster of Scarlett Johansson, the typical sexy girl. I look, it's an object, all object. Objection, the materialism. I was totally materialistic. Okay, absolutely caught in the illusion of materialism. And so all my awareness, because my connection with the force was strong at the time, was stuck in those fields, which brings suffering and misery ultimately, as I have learned over and over. Otherwise, I wouldn't be on this path now. Because I learned over and over, having a girlfriend and having another one, breaking up with this one, you learn none of it ever brought you happiness anyway. You start to see the finiteness of the material world, of chasing and accomplishing. Same thing with business. I've had a few businesses. Some have done well, some have not. And I've made some great money at some points, and I've had zero money and I have to borrow at some point. And I've seen that it's all the same thing, that it really doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter. And I had at some point the validation of society. At some point I was popular with chicks. I was popular with people. I was really popular at some point. I'd walk into the gym and I'd be this popular guy. Walk into the library, I'd be this popular guy. And now I see that it brought me nothing but misery. Misery. Why? Because I would get attached to it, and then the minute I don't have it, I would suffer. I would feel incomplete. I would feel I'm not whole. Like if I'd walk into a gym one day and I'm buzzing with energy and I have all this attention, then I'd come in 2 days later and I wouldn't have the same amount of attention, and I would feel incomplete. I would not feel whole. Because I did not have the same attention from society. So then I start to see that it's all finite, that it's bringing me nothing but misery. It's my attachments, my mental projections and expectations are bringing me nothing but misery. Nothing but misery, folks. So yeah, I thought that was a great thing to meditate on, to share with you guys. That's about it. And I want to thank my friend who suggested this video, and I want to also thank all the Patreons for supporting this channel. God bless you all, guys. You are all awesome and amazing. If you'd like to support, pledge your support to this version of Saeed so that he can become his version 8 years ago. Then please, you could do so down below on Patreon, in the description. You can pledge something as little as $2 a month. Okay, so other than that, God bless you all, and until next time, may the force be with you.